The following half-hour show is a paid political program and is not endorsed by this station, management, or staff.
The following program is sponsored by Excalibur Insurance Management Services.
Good morning. I'm Jane Adonisio, welcoming you to the Volpe Report. This week's show features several guests who recently attended a reception hosted by Chuck Volpe in New York City. The reason for that reception was to meet with and chat with some of the Pennsylvanians who attended the 125th Annual Pennsylvania Society Dinner. You'll recognize some of the familiar faces in this week's episode, as well as hear about the history of the revered black tie event.
This is the Volpe Report, a weekly news and political interview show examining the latest local, state, and national issues with Chuck Volpe. Insightful, informative, controversial. The area's premier political talk show, the Volpe Report.
We'd like to welcome a special guest, a good friend, a family who I know so well, a father who I had great respect for, was one of my inspirations to become a lawyer. We have Liz Preate, who is none other than the president of the Pennsylvania Society. You've heard me talk about this great tradition and this great society and this great dinner, dating back to the 1800s. We are very honored to have the president here tonight. So, Liz, thanks for joining us.
I'm thrilled to be here. This is one of the best parties at the society, and I'm thrilled to be here. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Tell us a little bit about, I've been trying to kind of educate us, our viewers, about the history of the society and your involvement in it. So talk a little bit about how you got involved in the society and its importance.
So when I was 17 years old, and my father had just won for Attorney General, and my father brought me to this dinner, and I knew nothing about it. That was the beginning. I met the most interesting people here for the last 30 years, more than 30 actually, people who impacted my life, people who were on different sides of the political aisle, people who I respected and regarded and mentored me, meeting them here for the first time over all of the years at the Pennsylvania Society. But this year, 125th, we gave a special honor based upon the man who founded our organization, Bar Faree. Bar Faree, that's his name, it's a little strange, but 125 years ago, he decided he loved Pennsylvania, he's from Pennsylvania, very successful New York business person, but loved his roots in PA, and he decided to have this dinner of 55 people. Soon, after a few years, he had Winston Churchill here. It turned into this very powerhouse event where leaders from across the country and worlds met for dinner. So we've honored presidents and people from all over the world here. This year we honored our 3 past presidents, Andy Sordoni, one of whom is from northeastern Pennsylvania, as you know, Roger Richardson, Tom Hagen from Erie Insurance. We honored them with this one-time award, the Bar Faree Award, named after our founder. That's a wonderful thing. I was kind of educating and talking to our viewers about the great history of the society, about how it goes even back to the Rockefellers and J.P. Morgan and the Carnegies and the Mellons, and you had the captains of the financial industry of the United States in New York, and you had the creators of basically all the steel for the country and the railroads and the Industrial Revolution, and that nexus goes all the way back to the 1800s and what the society has meant to the 2 states, but more importantly to this country. It's as significant an organization as exists in the United States. Do you know that it's out of all the membership organizations in the country, it's the longest lasting, healthiest membership organization of its kind in the nation. I'm honored to be a member of the society. And you've been a wonderful member. You have one of our best events every PA Society weekend, and I'm so glad that I was able to join you tonight. Well, you've honored us with your presence, Liz, and more than that, you've been on my show for your own half hour. We've talked about your career as a lawyer. We've talked about your political career as chairwoman of the Montgomery County Republican Party. So you've touched a lot of bases. I know your dad, who I've spoken to, actually called me after your show to talk about your great performance on it and how proud he is of you. As I said, he was a mentor for me, one of the people that led me into the profession. My dad respected him to no end. So listen, I have to tell you, northeastern Pennsylvania is an incredible place to live, incredible place to raise your children. And I am blessed. I really do believe that I had the best upbringing because I grew up there. I had this family around me, the Preate family, raised me there in this sort of white picket fence feeling, but also just good. Everyone cares about each other. I know it's a smaller environment. It's a caring environment. It's a respectful environment, and it gave me sort of the legs and the strength to be able to do what I'm doing here in New York, but in Philadelphia as a lawyer. So I'm so happy that you had me on your show. You're doing great things.
Thanks, Liz, so much. I know your presidential duties will keep you busy. I will hope you'll enjoy the dancing, because you said you were going to do some.
I took my shoes off already.
Well,
I'm ready.
I'm right behind you. I'm going to finally get to see a little of my own party. Thank you so much for stopping by, Liz.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Again, the president of the Pennsylvania Society, Liz Preate. We'll be right back. We're here with a guest that you've just seen for the past 2 weeks on two parts of the Volpe Report, and we are thrilled to have you here tonight, Congressman.
Chuck, anytime I'm on your show, I'm just so honored to be on, and certainly here at the Pennsylvania Society as well. Thank you.
Well, appreciate it. We've talked to some of my guests how great it is at this event that we can get Democrats and Republicans together, put aside any partisan differences, come to New York at Christmas time, and it really is great to see. I feel encouraged as an American about the future of our country, having people like you here and dealing with your Democratic colleagues. If we could take that to Washington and Harrisburg, we'll be a lot better off.
Well, what you say is very important on a couple of fronts. Number one, we certainly need to work together as Americans. It can't just be red, it can't just be blue. It needs to be red, white, and blue. And I don't say it as a cliche, I say that as something very meaningful.
The work you're doing for Northeast and Central Pennsylvania is important for our state. You're fighting the good fights. You are now in the majority. It was ironic that we've kind of done a switch. I've had a couple of members of Pennsylvania's House of Representatives, Doyle Sheffley and the like. Former Kurt Meuser, as you know very well, Kurt Meuser, former leader in the Republican House.
All good friends of mine, yep.
And they are now find themselves in the minority. We've done a flip. You are now in the majority. And I know we've talked on our show, part 2 just occurred last week, of course, about the important work you're doing and the Republicans in the House bringing things to light about, obviously, the things going on with the president and his son, Hunter. And now we know about his brother, Jim. Mayorkas, the catastrophe at the border. Our last 2 shows have talked about that. What other issues do you see coming forward as we go forward into 2024?
There's no question we have many serious issues facing our country, many issues that need a Republican and Democrat response. Look, we're having a good time here tonight. We're gonna, you know what? People are gonna have a good time tomorrow. They're gonna have breakfast. They're gonna spend time with their kids. They're gonna be playing their sports. But I have a job to do, and my job as an elected member of the United States House of Representatives is to do everything I can to be not just the voice of my constituents, but to be their activist in our republic and work for them to improve our country and to correct course, frankly, but to always advance. Look, we have a great country, but our country is not going to stay great if we erode our principles and erode our economy and erode our borders and erode our national defense. And, you know, that's what I think is happening. And it's happened over the last 3 years. And it's very serious. Under the Biden administration, can somebody tell me something that they like that has been occurring, that a policy and a plan and an improvement that has occurred from jobs, from wages, from disposable living, because of inflation, because our border issue, from to energy costs? It's wrong, and we really, God bless us, we need a corrective action. And that's why in 24, I'm just dedicating myself to winning more seats for the House, Republican seats, frankly. It's really that simple, because of course the Democrats, and I love, got many good friends. You know, Bob Casey on very soon. Good man, but wrong on policy, just wrong. wrong for America, wrong for Americans. And we got, those are the serious issues that we got to deal with.
Well, Congressman, as usual, very well said. I agree with you wholeheartedly about the issues. I was reading something recently that was kind of ironic, how for about 3 months, every time President Biden spoke, he talked about Bidenomics, Bidenomics, Bidenomics. I didn't even notice this, but over the last month and a half or two, he never mentions it anymore. And the article, the editorial pointed out that it's because the feedback they're getting is people are hurting so bad, maybe you better shut up about Bidenomics. He doesn't even mention it anymore. If that's not the best indictment of the failure of the policies of our current president, I don't know what else is.
You know what, Chuck? You bring such a illumination to the truth. You were a Democrat.
45 years.
45 years. You are just simply about the truth, about stating the truth. And if everybody could just really try to dig in and face reality, and not say, oh, I don't like what this guy said or what that one said. If they look at what's in the best interest of America, we do know what the right course is. And I'm telling you, that's all I'm about. That's all I'm about. Why else would I be doing this? I'm about doing everything possible for us to have the strongest national security, not just for the benefit of the United States, but for the world. I'm for the best economy so America can have the most competitive place to start and grow a business and to live the highest levels of quality of life. I'm for a judicial system and a Department of Justice system that is fair. And we're not seeing that. And most of America's not seeing that. And it's not going to change if we reelect, Biden. And frankly, this Democrat movement, because it's not the traditional Democrats. It's not even close to it. It's this ideology that America's bad and we want to change things for just the sake of changing, not making it better.
Making it worse.
Yeah, not being constructive.
Dividing Americans.
Dividing. It's awful. And it's really upsetting to me. And, well, look, that's what I'm dedicating myself to. I left my private sector job a number of years ago. This is what I want to do. I'm not a right winger. I'm someone
An American
who truly wants to bring people together.
Congressman, well stated. I'm going to let you get back to your lovely wife, Shelley, and she is all of those things you said. And I hope you have a wonderful time the rest of your stay in New York. Thank you for stopping by my party. I'm honored to have your friendship.
What you do for our community and our state and our country is so commendable. I just want to shake your hand and thank you.
Thanks, Congressman. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Our United States Congressman Dan Meuser.
We're here with Rob Bresnahan. Merry Christmas, Rob.
Merry Christmas, Chuck. Thanks for having me.
Well, and we want to announce on our show, at least, something that's already occurred, and he has announced. He is a candidate for United States Congress. He is going to run in, I think it's the 8th Congressional District, against Scranton U.S. Congressman, who's been there, I believe, 6 terms he's going on, Matt Cartwright. So, Rob, tell us a little bit about, your background and why you decided to run for Congress against a 6-year incumbent.
Sure. Well, I was born in northeastern Pennsylvania. I was raised in northeastern Pennsylvania. I went to the University of Scranton, entered my family business when I was 19 years old.
And what's that?
Hardship Construction. We're a heavy highway electrical contractor, traffic signals, decorative streetscape lighting, intelligent transportation systems. Actually entered the company when I was 19 years old,
wow.
Right after the 2008 financial collapse. Great time to become a highway contractor while going to the University of Scranton, getting a business administration degree, and never left. Had the opportunity to go to school in Philadelphia, but chose to stay right here in northeastern Pennsylvania. After graduation, started with about 50 employees, grew to 150, all while reinvesting through redevelopment in northeastern Pennsylvania, and had an opportunity to make a difference for northeastern Pennsylvania in the United States House of Representatives.
Well, that's wonderful. Now, you've taken a big step. You're running for United States Congress. You're a young man taking on a 6-term incumbent. Why do you think you want to do this, and why do you think you have a good chance to win this election?
Well, what it comes down to is kitchen table issues in northeastern Pennsylvania. You talk about the compression of just wages, and you look at different issues throughout northeastern Pennsylvania. 1/3 of roads in Wayne County aren't paved. You have huge percentages of income going just for housing and basic hierarchy of needs. You look at energy, you look at fuel, you look at groceries. It is really expensive to be alive right now. And if you look at the trajectory of this country, I don't feel that we're heading in the right direction. And right now, I feel that it's time for the next generation of leadership to step up to the plate, and I'm willing to take this challenge on. I love northeastern Pennsylvania. I wouldn't dream of living anywhere else. And if this is a way that I can give back to my area that I've called home and my family for over 5 generations, this is what I'm going to do.
Well, that's an eloquent opening salvo and statement for your campaign. Wish you a lot of luck, Rob. We're here again with Rob Bresnahan running for U.S. Congress in the 8th Congressional District. We'll be right back. I'd like to welcome my good friend, and I have to say, 10 years of the Volpe Report, and I'll remember going back 10 years, my first guest ever. He's been on many times since, my good friend, Matt McGloin.
Well, thank you so much, Mr. Volpe, for having me on once again. This is incredible here tonight. It's a beautiful day outside, 60 degrees.
It's gorgeous
or
today.
so out in December, and actually today is my birthday.
Oh God! How old?
Yeah, 34.
Wow.
December 2nd, 1989.
Wow.
So 34 years old today. What a beautiful night! So much. This is incredible.
Thank you. Well, back then you were the starting quarterback for the Oakland Raiders in the NFL, having coming off a historic career, the first walk-on to become a starter at Penn State University, broke Penn State passing records, Big Ten passing records, went on to a great career and went on to the NFL. I remember back then we were talking about your future NFL career. Now we go 10 years down the road, and you are the newly elected Lackawanna County Commissioner in the majority as a Democrat with the tremendous vote you just got. So what prompted you to make the decision to go from calling signals and changing plays at the line of scrimmage from the college Big Ten, the NFL, and now you're in public service?
Well, you know, the thing about playing football is that I always told myself I will play until the phone stops ringing. The phone stopped ringing. And
it does for everybody.
And I remember somebody asking me, Mr. Volpe, the question, now what, Matt? And my response was, I just want to go home. I just want to go home to my family. I just want to go home to my friends. I just want to go home to Northeast PA. I want to be a part of that atmosphere. I want to be a part of that environment. My beautiful wife and I, we have 2 children, ages 4 and 1. I want to raise them in Northeast PA. I want them to feel what I felt growing up in that area. I'm very fortunate and very blessed to have 2 incredible parents, a father who had worked for the city of Scranton for 30 years. My parents, as you know, have been local business owners. How are you? Merry Christmas. My parents have been local business owners for 42 years. My mother instilled in us at an early age to never forget where you're from. I never have, and I never will. My father instilled in us at an early age the importance of serving, giving back to your community, and being active in your community. I always knew I would run for something. I wasn't sure what it'd be, but let me tell you something, Mr. Volpe. The past year and a half has been the best year and a half in my life. Having the opportunity to campaign, to have the honor to run for Lackawanna County Commissioner, to be elected Lackawanna County Commissioner, the people that I have met throughout Lackawanna County is simply incredible. It is a wonderful place to live. It is a wonderful place to raise your family, and the future is very, very bright in Lackawanna County.
Well, and let me take that last statement you said and say, the future is very bright for a young man like you and your political star and your political future. You have succeeded at every level in anything you've ever tried to do. You've broken records along the way. You've done the unthinkable when everybody told you couldn't. I say as a resident of Lackawanna County that the citizens of our area and our county are in good hands with a young leader like you. You have a very, very bright future. And I have to say, you're dating me when you say I'm 34. I could remember you were 9 years old. I was at Holy Cross Gym the commissioner of the B League, the basketball league, and the coach, therefore, of the All-Star team. And I remember you running in that first day when I called our first practice. You had those black high socks up to your knees. And I followed your career very closely as a coach in basketball. Of course, I was able to coach you in football at the Westside Falcons. So it's been a privilege and a pleasure to watch you grow up, become the young man you've become, and now a leader in the political field. So we wish you a lot of luck and Godspeed on your future endeavors.
I appreciate that. Thanks again for having me on the show. It's great to see you tonight. And one of the great things about being here tonight as well, it's to have the opportunity to catch up with John Chuck Jr., who I've known all my life, played sports with them as well. So what a wonderful night to be around great friends.
Thanks so much, Matt. Merry Christmas to you and your family. Lackawanna County Commissioner now, and former NFL quarterback Matt McGloin. We're here now with, this is, we'll call the family portion of the Volpe Report. I'm here with my brother-in-law, who I love dearly, who I've known for even before I met his sister, my wife Ellen. He was a football standout back in the late 70s and around 80 for Scranton Central, and a great all-regional football player. Won a championship at Central as a football player. Went on to Indiana University of Pennsylvania, as I recall, for his post-high school education, where you were also a football player at the college level.
Played a little ball out there, and then I started boxing.
And then he started boxing. And to say Jimmy Simrel, and you mentioned fighting, boxing, now we have mixed martial arts. I am literally sitting next to a master, a black belt, and I'm going to let you talk about the various types of disciplines that you're an expert in. You're a black belt in?
I'm a second-degree black belt in Gracie Jiu-Jitsu, master sport in Russian Sambo, and a crew in Muay Thai.
Okay, now for our audience, what is a Russian Sambo?
Russian Sambo is a lot like Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu with the Russian. They do a lot of throws, leg locks, submissions, same as the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, except in the Russian country.
And what about Muay Thai?
Muay Thai is kickboxing with elbows and knees.
Well, what I will tell you about Jim is that he is one of the foremost instructors in northeastern Pennsylvania. His ties go to New York and around the country. He has had several gyms, and you're currently in the process of getting another gym.
Yes.
He has trained hundreds and hundreds of young people, the arts and the martial arts of self-defense and fighting. And more importantly, and more famously, I should say, because of his expertise and his reputation, he has a relationship and a friendship with the former champion of the world, heavyweight champion of the world, Larry Holmes, one of the longest standing heavyweight champions in history. So tell us a little bit how you got to be involved with the ex-heavyweight champion of the world.
Well, my buddy Elmo Baldessari gave me a call. He said, how would you like to go to lunch with Larry Holmes? I said, I'd love to. So we traveled down to Easton, and we're sitting there with the champ, and the champ's coach was there, Cliff Ransom. And I had a video on my phone of one of the pro fighters I trained from the Scranton area, and I was doing the mitt work with him. And when I do the mitt work, I don't only do combinations, I do counter punching. And Cliff said, how would you like to come down and start working with Larry's grandson, who's a pro fighter, Jeffrey Dorsey? I said, I'd love to. So I made a trip down to Easton. I started working the mitts with the team. 3 years later, I'm still working with the team, and we're producing a lot of great fighters through the Scranton area and through the Easton area. So great. Me and Cliff have built a great relationship and became really good friends over this whole training together with the young boxers in the Easton and Scranton area.
Jim, wish you a lot of luck.
Thank you so much, Chuck.
With your martial arts and with what you're doing for young people and training them martial arts and how to protect themselves and how to fight in our area.
Yeah, thank you so much. You're a great party here, and thank you for having me.
Thanks. Again, my brother-in-law, Jim Simrel. Well, now comes the time, every Christmas time, that we do this show, where we end our show with my lovely grandchildren. Sometimes we've had our whole family here. These are 4 of my 6 grandchildren. 2 are safely tucked away in bed back at the hotel. But we do have 4 of our grandchildren here. The Wolf family, my daughter Jennifer married Danny Wolf, and we have very proudly 4 children. But all of this, or I should say none of this, would be possible without my wife Ellen, who's been at every Christmas party for the last 33 years. 2 were missed of COVID. And our son John, who is now 33 years old, almost 34, was 1 at the first Pennsylvania Society after party. It was at the Waldorf Astoria back then, before it closed down. So I'm going to introduce all of them. And we have our oldest, Scarlett, who is at the Abington Middle School. She is in 7th grade. And then we have the second oldest, Guinevere, who is in 6th grade at the Abington Middle School. And to my left, I have Cordelia, who's in 3rd grade at Abington Elementary School. And last but not least, we have my lovely grandson, Tristan, who is in preschool, all in school. But first, I'd like to introduce my wife, Ellen. None of this would be possible without her. She's been my biggest supporter since I went to law school, and she's shy. So look, Scarlett isn't shy. Talk about your experience at Abington Middle School.
It's fun, definitely, yeah.
And what do you like best about school?
I like writing.
Beside Christmas vacation.
I like
summer
writing.
vacation.
I like my subjects.
Well, what's your favorite subject?
History.
Yeah, you're a chip off the old block, you know? I was never too good in math or science, but I loved history. I especially loved world history and political history. So what's one of the things you learned in history this past year?
Just stuff about the Revolutionary War.
Wow, that's important stuff.
Yeah.
Well, Guinevere, you're next in line. So you're in 6th grade, and what do you like best about school?
I like ELA, which is basically English and language arts. And my favorite thing is history.
History too. Wow, great. And what do you learn in history at school?
We've learned a bunch of stuff. We learned about the Great Depression and the things that people endured when they lost it.
That's great. And Miss Cordelia, now last year at the show, as I recall, the funniest line of the night came from you when I said, "What do you like about school?" And I think you said gym.
Yeah.
So has your opinion changed in 3rd grade? What's your favorite thing about school?
Still gym.
Still gym. Well, let me tell you what. I know that you're a great athlete and along with your other sisters. I didn't mention Scarlett is goalie for the soccer team. Soccer team, right? The Abington School. And Guinevere, are you still playing baseball?
I did. I do. Yeah, I do soccer, and I still do cheer, and I do off and on softball.
Wonderful. And I know you're a heck of a baseball player because I saw you knocking balls out into the outfield, right? That's your favorite sport?
Probably. Yeah, probably.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, at any rate, I am so proud to be your grandfather. I know I speak for your grandma, who spends a lot more time with you than me. And I cannot say goodnight finally until I talk about Tristan. Do you like being in school and preschool?
Yeah.
Yes, you do. Well, that sums it up. And do you have a favorite subject yet? Or you like gym?
Yeah. And lunch?
And lunch. Well, there you have it from the Volpe family. As I end every year, it's been a pleasure to have you with us for this whole year. We try to talk about the issues that matter, and we would like, from our family to yours, wish you a wonderful Christmas season and a happy new year.